What's up, guys? Artemis here, and welcome, Artemis Gang. And yes, I'm doing another JoJo's Bizarre Adventure review. I'm overdosing on this content. I'm going to keep reviewing. And your class probably wondering, is he gonna go on to the manga parts? Yes, I am gonna go on to the manga parts. So if you haven't read the manga, you haven't read parts 6, 7, and 8, then I suggest you either read it or you don't watch the videos at all. But still, yeah. I'll try to do non-spoiler reviews on parts 6, 7, and 8. But I might also say some spoilers on accident. After all, I am human, and yeah, if I say it on accident, I say it on accident. But okay, part 3 is it's good. It has some goods. It has some bads. So our main protagonist, as you can see on the screen here, is Jotaro Mother Freaking Kujo. Yeah, we have Jotaro freaking Kujo here today. Now, you're probably wondering, what is Jotaro's personality? Well, he's kind of a badass. See, here it is. So Jotaro's stand is, as you can see, is that funky purple dude, Star Platinum. Now, part 3 is when they introduce stands to the mix. So get used to seeing stands a lot in part 3, 4, and 5, 6, 7, and so on of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. So Jotaro Kujo's stand is Star Platinum, your typical punching ghost. His ability is that he punches really hard, but later on in the show, he will be able to. Well, spoiler alert. Actually, I'm not gonna do spoilers, but yeah, as you can see here, Star Platinum is your typical punching ghost, and its stand user is Jotaro Kujo. Now, Jotaro, he's badass, he's stoic, he's quiet, but he's also stubborn, hot-headed, and really is a really cool character, and he's basically the icon of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. When people think of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, they think of Jotaro Kujo and his stand, Star Platinum. So as you can see, Star Platinum is your typical punching ghost. He punches super, super hard. His range is 2 meters. I'm not going to say the stand stats because the stand stats are terrible. But yeah. As you can see here, Star Platinum has precision and punches at really high speeds. And the main antagonist of this part is the man himself from part 1. For my part 1 review, Dio Brando, or as everyone likes to call him, Dio, with all caps in his name. I still wonder why, but I don't care. I'm going to call him Dio Brando, or Dio. And as you can see here, he survived. So at the end of part 1, okay, there's gonna be some minor spoilers. Basically, here's some minor spoilers. So, he didn't die on the boat along with Jonathan, because in part 1, it seemingly said that Jonathan and Dio died together. But here's what happened. Dio chopped off Jonathan's head because Jonathan was already dead and took over his body. And basically, that's what happened. He took over his body. So yes, Dio comes back as the main villain of part 3, and the Joe Bros of this part. Well, or should I start with a returning Jojo? All right, so that old man right there that you see on that screen. Okay, no, not him. So as you can see, Star Platinum also has really good precision and everything, and really good eyesight. His eyes are like a camera. So that old man you see before you, that's Joseph Joestar from part 2. He came back to help Jotaro, or basically be the leader of the Stardust Crusaders. So, as you can see, Alright, so as you can see, Star Platinum is named after the tarot card, the Star. And Jotaro Kujo is a really good character, right? And as you can see, he basically solves all of his problems with punching. So yes, he's fought a lot of enemies. He's fought sharks, down to guns, down to everything. Yeah, so yeah, overall, Jotaro is a really cool protag from JoJo's, and as you can tell, he is the icon of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure because Jotaro appears in part 4, the beginning of part 5 and part 6. So yes, Jotaro Kujo, overall the icon of JoJo, and if you tell me any different, then honestly, you're just dumb. So yes, Jotaro, icon of JoJo. And explaining more on Jotaro Kujo, this is him during the Egypt arcs. Basically, so he progressed. He progressed along with his friends. He and he kind of smiles from time to time now. He likes hanging out with them, and basically everything else. And at the end of part 3, he fights Dio Brando, and as you can see here, him and Dio, he basically exchange punches right here. You'll see it in a minute. But yes, so overall in this part, Jotaro fought Dio at the end of part 3, and Dio, and I'm glad to see Dio come back as a main villain. And apparently Dio's stand is called the World, and the World can stop time for about 5 seconds, but then later on, it is approximately 8 seconds. So yes, Dio coming back as a main villain is kind of amazing. And Dio coming back is really cool to see, even though Dio isn't really seen as much in this part as he was in part 1. Part 3, Dio, his personality completely changed. He's more egotistical. He's more confident in his abilities as a main villain. And he basically sends a bunch of assassins after Jotaro Kujo and the Stardust Mother Freaking Crusaders. So yes, in my opinion, part 3, one of the best parts. And we'll get into the Jobbers in a minute. So as you can see at the end of part 3, Jotaro defeats Dio and his stand the world. And this is the last time we ever will. Actually, no, this isn't the last time we'll ever see Dio, because Dio actually appears in more parts, but we'll get into that when I review it. Dio is either mentioned or more actually. And as you can see, Joseph Joestar coming back was a nice touch. Now, to our first Jobro that we're introduced to in the part, Mohammed Avdol and his stand, Magician's Red. So, Magician's Red is basically a firebird that breathes fire. He has signature named attacks, and Avdol has been known for a lot of fights, but unfortunately, during part 3, Avdol kind of got shot in the head, per se. Yeah, Avdol got shot in the head, but it turns out later on Avdol's still alive. So as you can see right here, he has been known for fighting Jean-Pierre Polnareff, which is another Jobro we will get into later, and Mohammed Avdol isn't really my favorite Jobro of this part, but he's still pretty cool in my opinion. So Avdol's cool, but the thing is, he dies, or should I say, he quote unquote dies, and we never really see him again for almost half of the entire part until we get to when they're about to go to Egypt to stop Dio and the rest of his finish off his assassins, who are named after the 9 Egyptian gods. So yes, Magician's Red, pretty cool stand, and Avdol is a pretty cool character, even though we don't see him much. And yeah, Avdol, overall, Mohammed Avdol and his stand, Magician's Red, is like more of a friend to Joseph Joestar in part 3. So yes, and his stand is named after the Magician's card, the Magician card, and yeah, basically, Avdol kind of goes through a behavioral change for like about only an episode. Like he starts peeing on the enemy, and I know out of context it sounds weird. You understand why Avdol was basically feeling himself in when he came back. And this is Avdol part 2. But unfortunately, what happens to Avdol is Avdol dies permanently this time. And now, over here we have the stand of Joseph Joestar. Joseph Joestar is a returning Jojo from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 2. He's not really the main, he doesn't take up the role of main protagonist in this part, but he does still is the leader of the Stardust Crusaders. His stand's Hermit Purple. Hermit Purple is a hormone-infused stand, and as you can see, it's basically just a bunch of purple vines. It's more of a utility stand than it is like a humanoid stand. It's more of like utility. So yes, Hermit Purple, as you can see, can hack programs and speak through the programs by changing them repeatedly. And yeah, if he breaks the camera, there will be like a mental, spiritual image of Joseph Joestar. And Joseph Joestar is more wiser in this part, per se. And he becomes more of a leader. But at the same time, Joseph, basically Joseph is still kind of the same. He still shows some vibes from part 2 Joseph. And yeah, and as you can see at the end of part 2, Joseph got his hand cut off. So you're probably wondering, how did he get another hand? It's actually a prosthetic one. And okay, as you can see here, Hermit Purple is more of a utility stand, and yeah, Hermit Purple is a pretty cool stand in my opinion. And now, we're on to the next Jobro, Noriaki Kakyoin. Now, Kakyoin is... he doesn't really, like, people overrate him as a Jobro because most of the memes in you know, the whole cherry licking meme, but really, he possesses a body like one time, but it doesn't really useful as much throughout the part. So Kakyoin and Kakyoin's stand is Hierophant Green, and what it does is that it shoots emeralds that can basically scratch your skin off. So yes, Kakyoin, overall a pretty cool Jobro, but he's not my favorite one out of the bunch. Now, Kakyoin, well, let's just say at the end of part 3, something, well, bad happens to Kakyoin. He tries facing off with Dio, but let's just say it doesn't really go well. As you can see here, he tried facing off against Dio in his stand, The World. And he tried doing a 20 meter emerald splash, but something unfortunate happens to Kakyoin. Kakyoin, well, he'll see in a minute. Yeah, he tried fighting Dio, but Dio already figured out that he's in a web of Kakyoin's emerald splash, and unfortunately, Dio stops time for withstand the world, and unfortunately, Kakyoin dies. And he dies giving a final message to Joseph Joestar. What I don't like about Kakyoin's character is that they decide to give him good development as a quiet kid at the end of his part. So yes, Kakyoin, R.I.P. man, you were a good Jobro, but unfortunately, not my favorite. Now, John Pierre Mother freaking Polnareff and his stand, Silver Chariot. See, Polnareff starts off as an assassin for Dio, but he joins later on to get revenge for his little sister. But see, thing is here, Polnareff learns from this mistake. When Avdol supposedly dies, and quote-unquote dies by getting shot in the head, but he's revealed to be alive later, Polnareff actually stays with the main cast of the characters. And Polnareff's a really cool guy, and he's overall my favorite Jobro of part 3. Now, Polnareff knows when to joke around, and he knows when to be serious. See, Silver Chariot, it's 1 meter, and I'm not looking at stand stats because stand stats suck, in my opinion. So yeah, I'm probably not gonna get a lot of hate comments oh, why is stand stats, because they're mostly not accurate. But yes, Polnareff has a range of 1 meter. Like, Silver Chariot is a really cool stand, and Polnareff is a really cool character. Polnareff knows when to mess around. Polnareff knows when to be cool, and he kind of gets development from time to time. Like his trip with the freaking Stars Crusaders, it turned from a simple revenge quest against someone who killed his little sister to him learning stuff and him basically becoming a better character. See, and the thing about Polnareff is, see, let's just say Avdol and Iggy, they die in front of his eyes. And Polnareff, well, Polnareff has to fight Vanilla Ice, which he has one of my most favorite stands, Cream. Cream's like my 7th favorite stand. But Polnareff doesn't is like sad at the death of his friends, and as you can see here, he defeats Vanilla Ice at the end of his part. He does try to help against Dio. Let's just say one thing. Alright, so as you see here, he killed Vanilla Ice, and he achieved vengeance for Avdol and Iggy. The thing is, Polnareff tried defeating Dio, but unfortunately, Dio's stand, The World, kind of like basically cucked him as a whole character. And as you see here, you have all these people, and then we have Iggy, the final member of the Crusaders. Starts off as a lazy dog, and he still remains a lazy dog, and his stand is called the Fool. The Fool is basically a dog design stand, and it's made out of sand. So Iggy could put look, Iggy right here could put sand layers. He could put he could put sand layers. He can scratch with the Fool. He can like do sand shields and everything, and make sand clones. So clones made out of sand. And as you can see here, he took out Kenny G and tenor sax with his stand tenor sax. But yes, unfortunately, along with Abdul, Iggy dies at the end of his part. And Iggy will always be missed. He died getting kicked multiple times by Vanilla Ice, and I hate Vanilla Ice. So R.I.P. Iggy. He really is one of the best Joe Bros or Joe Dogs, whatever you want to call it. And we do get a minor thing from Jonathan, but it's only his stand, and it's basically just Hermit Purple. Tower of Grey will be is a fly that they fight. They fight a Shark Man, or should I say Jotaro fights him. They fight a giant monkey in a ship. Yes, all this stuff out of context sounds weird. JoJo's really is just plain Bizzare. And they fight a cowboy with a gun, a war empress, and they basically go through a, well, bizarre adventure. They even fight the freaking sun. The sun. Tell me how is that possible? And there's also a clown stand, Death 13 in this little wonderland. Then we have Judgment, which is basically a thing of Aladdin. And High Priestess is like a shapeshifter on that on the ship. Geb is water. Toph is comic book. He morphs his face. And hold on, I'm trying to skip through the parts so I can get more on the main villain of this part, and not like, having to deal with this crap. I'll get like to the final two villains of this part, and that is Vanilla Ice. Vanilla Ice is the one that killed Avdol and Iggy. Killed both of them. But fortunately, Polnareff got revenge. Like boy games. Yes. So yeah, Polnareff got vengeance for Abdul and Iggy. Hold on, guys, I'll be right back because they're bothering me. Yo. Lord have mercy, Christ. Okay, I am really sorry about that. Family was knocking at my door, bothering me. So yeah, I'm back. Vanilla. Oh yeah. Where were we? Vanilla Ice. Vanilla Ice killed Abdul and Iggy, fortunately. And I'm glad Polnareff killed him. His stand is cool. I just absolutely hate the stand because he kicked Iggy to death. And yeah. And then it seems like Polnareff's gonna die. But then Vanilla Ice comes in clutch. I mean, not Vanilla Ice. Polnareff comes in clutch. It seems like they're all gonna die. And yeah, Vanilla Ice is basically like the final villain that they fight. And now over here we have Dio Brando. And we're back to the main antagonist. Dio Brando wasn't really seen much in this part, but he was still a pretty cool final boss and everything. And he is Dio. You would see that he's more confident in his abilities. And he doesn't really think much when it comes to fighting because he basically overpowered almost half the Crusaders, including Kakyoin, Joseph Joestar, and Polnareff. So yes, the world's ability is stopping time, and as you can see, the world is responsible for killing Kakyoin. But unfortunately for Dio Brando, Jotaro learns how to stop time, and the world is killed along with Dio Brando. So overall, I give JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Stardust Crusaders, a 10 out of 10. Don't care what you say to me. Part 3 is iconic. Jotaro's iconic. The Dio is amazing. Polnareff is a good Joe, bro. And yeah, And next up, we have part 4, and we then part 5, and then we have the manga. So I will see you guys later, and this has been Artemis, and I'm out.